brand new year, pitchers and catchers here. What can you tell us about the 2023 Texas
We've
Tech?
got more than pitchers and catchers. We've got some hitters too, and so really excited about watching this group. This group's been a pleasure to work with since day one, and through the whole recruiting process, their families showed a lot of trust and faith in us, and we appreciate that. And we're excited about returning that favor and watching the guys go out and compete and play. And we're going to make some mistakes along the way. We're not going to be perfect, but the intention's been good since day one. And very athletic group, really fun group to be around. Group seems to be really close as far as chemistry goes, if you want to say that. And I think they're all willing to do what's best for the team day in, day out. It seems that way right now.
Coach Mocktoff of Gonzaga has been known to play anyone, anywhere, just like you. What's this first 4-game set going to be, and how is it going to set you guys up for the rest of the year?
Yeah, I guess time will tell, but I think we really like the ability to play every day. Like if you could say, hey, we could play every day for the first 2 weeks, that'd be great. Just a matter of getting people here or getting somewhere to play them. I think that's how you play baseball, probably at your best, is when you get in rhythm. And I think there's a little bit of a challenge the 4 days in a row as far as like just the build up for arms and legs and all that, and trying to fire that many days in a row. The good thing is for us anyway, I do think it'll allow us to see some different guys through the weekend.
Coach, you guys, lost some guys in your bullpen, but got some new ones too. I guess kind of describe what we can expect from those guys this season.
Yeah, and so just talking about the pitching staff, we pretty much looked at it, and we had 6 guys we felt like could start this weekend, 3 of the 4 games. And so obviously if there wasn't one of those 3, they're in the bullpen. And so really feel good about where that's starting, and like the understanding from those guys that, hey, like everybody's going to get a chance to do a little bit of both and try to put the puzzle together and figure out what's best for the team. And there's a number of guys down there that have all the ability in the world that can go pitch, and some returners, obviously, that have been down there for a while. And there's also some new guys. And so, but we're excited about it. Probably next question will be something about starting pitching, and we'll talk some more pitching. And but I'll make it clear, like we really did think we had 6 guys. Like if you want to go 6-man rotation, and you had the ability to move guys up and down, and like they do in the big leagues, in other words, you could start 6 guys. And the challenge in college baseball is understanding that everybody's going to get an opportunity to do a little bit of both, and at the end doing what's best, to put the team first and to give yourself the best chance to win at the end.
Mason Molina had such a strong finish to last year too. What's some of the leaps that you hope he makes on the mound this year?
Say Mason?
Yeah.
Tell you, he threw the ball really well in the fall, and you're right, he threw the ball well at the end. And really you start talking about pitching, timing, execution, those 2 things. As the timing gets better, the stuff gets better. Usually that all goes with just, being present and executing pitches and not trying to do too much. And so probably that's the simplest thing I can give you.
And you also guys have, reigning Big 12 freshman of the year Hudson White at your disposal. What jumps do you hope he makes this season for the second year?
Yeah, Huddy, he made some jumps last year. He really did. We got into conference play and played really well. Obviously, you want him to keep evolving behind the plate. And he's a guy who hadn't been back there a long time, but you want him to keep evolving back there and probably get in that cold tub, a little more, recover a little faster as far as that's concerned. And he could add a drag bunt every now and then like Mickey Mantle. That'd be cool too.
Coach, you said 6 guys could start. Who were those 6 guys, and who are you starting?
Yeah, and so I'll start with the ones that were in the bullpen. that we didn't pick. Brendan Girton, Trendon Parrish, and Tabor Fast. Tabor's a freshman out of Washington. You guys know the other ones. We're going to start Kyle Robinson Friday. The roster says Virginia. He's from San Antonio in my mind. Mason Molina on Saturday and Bo Blessey on Sunday.
Coach, how unique is the situation at shortstop where you having two high school kids fighting for playing time there?
Yeah, I mean, I could go into another deal, but how unique is it? It's so I've been doing this 30 years. The first guy I remember reclassifying was a catcher that went to North Carolina back in the 90s. I think he coaches now. I'd have to go see. He played in the big leagues. I had one in 2004 or 5. His name was Andy LaRoche. You know, it was a junior college, but he did it and ended up signing with the Dodgers after a couple of years. And so that would be the one that sticks out as far as you've been doing something 30 years, you've presented it to guys, and you got two guys at the same time that are doing it. Uniquely to me is Burns just came at Christmas time. Little Roach kid I mentioned did the exact same thing, played high school football, and then came. It's a tough transition. It can be done. He's really talented. I mean, he's what it's supposed to look like and has all the tools. You know, the other guy is a baseball player. One of the few kids I saw that, you know, through the pandemic, if there was a baseball game, he was playing. He wasn't one of those kids that said, hey man, this is going on, I'm not gonna play. Like, this guy played baseball. And so I go into another deal, like we feel like we got a bunch of guys that are listed as freshmen, but they've played a lot of baseball, like Bazell. But it's unique that you do have two guys and they both have the skill level to play there, but know that there's going to be things that happen within a game that maybe it's a little faster than it used to be, and that we're all going to have growing pains. And like you, again, like I just wish, like for some of these kids like Burns and Lopez, Jared Curtis, Gage Harrelson, there's a lot of really gifted athletes. You'd like to go, hey, here's 70 games, and just, hey, go play, and let's see where we're at the end of the 70 games, and we might just do that. Who knows? But my point is just really talented, but how unique it is. About the same time we got Tracer committed, right after that, Burns decided to do it. We really, that one was unique because playing football in the fall, and every Friday you're going, man, did he make it through the game? Because you're always worried about, injuries. And then you got the other one here and he knows it. Okay, is that going to be okay? And it is. In other words, sign of a really good baseball player a lot of times is the guys that don't ask who else you have. The guys that aren't very confident will go, hey, who else you got catching back there? Who you got at short? The ones that have played their whole life and have a passion for it, they're going to keep having that passion and keep showing up and working. So, long answer, but it is unique for this level too. At the same time, I think it's happening more and more in our sport. But for me, for our staff, I think it's the first ones we've had since we've been here. We've asked many. We have. Now, you might aid that, we all were not playing for a year, and there's time to talk about things like this. And so it's pretty cool story.
Do you have, are you going to rotate them here early on in the season just to see who fits there, or will Lopez spend time at second?
Well, again, you could move Burns to third some. You could move either one of them to second some. They're both plenty athletic to play in the outfield, but right now we're going to let them both try to play short and give them the opportunity to do that. I've already mentioned, 36 innings is a lot. And so, yeah, they're both going to get to play plenty. And I want to say that both of them, in their time, before they're done, are going to be really good players. But ask them to be stars right away is asking. I mean, ain't neither one of them going to be Ty or Jace right now. They're just not going to be. I mean, it takes time, and you got to have some college at bats under your belt to get to where you have that type of confidence.
Coach, it's been a while since you've gone through an offseason without guys like Parker Kelly, Kurt Wilson. What has that been like, not seeing them every day, I guess?
Man, Parker has been here every day. Parker was here yesterday when I left playing catch with Brian Klein. Josh has been here, Jace has been here, Noisy's been here, Braxton's been here. I haven't seen Kurt as much. Kurt was supposed to come in town one weekend. We're all really looking forward to seeing him. He didn't get to come. Easton Merle's been back. Stillwell's been back. Love those guys. Those guys did, great things for our program. They're great teammates, great examples for young guys. And our team, obviously, the guys that played with them are really close to them. They stay in communication with them. Our staff does. And, but it really excited for the ones that got a chance to go play. Klein's going to play in Cleaver, independent ball. I was just telling Don, Klein was out here hitting the other day with all those guys that are in affiliations. And he's backspinning balls in the bullpen against the wind. And you're going, man, hey, like this kid probably hit, nothing else. And so, but as far as like seeing them, our umpire locker room became the alumni locker room this fall. So probably got a little cleaning to do by Friday.
Along those lines, is this like the newest ball club that you've had since your first year here?
I think even our first year, I think it would probably be more than that. I can think back to 1999, there was pretty much a whole new team. It feels a little bit like that. So let's hope it goes the same way.
Coach, go ahead.
Coach, you mentioned Trent Parrish in the bullpen. How's he looked since the injury last year?
He's looked fine, throwing the ball good, showing up, doing his work, and sticking with it. I mean, when our pitchers face our hitters and vice versa, sometimes it's not, you don't get the results you want. I'm sure Trendon's excited about getting another team over there that maybe hadn't seen him, is not as familiar. But Trendon's, he's a bulldog and wants the ball when the game's on the line, and so he's going to get it some.
You mentioned the uniqueness of the shortstop position. How about Drew coming back? What was the conversation with Woodcocks about coming back here? Have you ever had that situation before?
I don't know specifically, but Drew and I had a really good visit on his way out. And it was really hard competing against him last year. And him being in their lineup on day 3 really impacted that game. He really had an impact every time he walked up there, even if it was just making guys spin the ball. Like he just couldn't just throw a fastball down and away. He's got that kind of presence. And so when he called and said, hey, I really messed this up, I want to come back, it was pretty much, hey, can you get into school and can you do that? It was making sure a guy could transfer a couple of times within a year, really. And so once we got the okay to do that, and we knew where he was as far as on some things that, we're excited about it. And have been excited about it. He's obviously got game-changing power, really high baseball IQ, and really wants to win. And it could be really cool.
I was curious, Coach, just anybody sticks out in your mind last season to where we are now, or fall to now, that's taken leaps that maybe have raised some eyebrows for you?
Yeah, Don asked me the same thing. Hudson White, I think, really went out and had a really good summer with the USA team. Played some in Santa Barbara there at the end, and played some infield there, which that's what he was before he got here. And so I think it'd be him and, knock on wood, Bo Blessy. I mean, Bo Blessy wasn't our 30-man last year very often. Wasn't even really thought very often out of the bullpen. And you're talking about a guy that right now we're you're really looking at him the same way we're looking at Birdie last year. You're going, hey, power arm, above average stuff, experience, how you keep him healthy. And we really just think, again, like running him out there one time a week. Now, we could change that next week. Literally, like, we have reserved the right with our guys to understand, like, hey, we don't have a guy that's been there and done it, like Birdie and those guys, or Davis Martin, or Ducek, or any of those guys, Shedder. And, those guys had some skins on the wall, and so we do want to be open about the conversation of, hey, like, let's put this staff together the best way we can.
Hey, Coach, is this the NIL era? Has it affected your program, and if so, how? Just
So far, really, probably in recruiting more than anything. When the phone line gets quiet, you're talking to a kid and it gets quiet, where usually you can carry a conversation, and a lot of times, nothing else will make fun of the way I talk, but when it gets quiet, and you wonder, hey, like, they're wanting to know what you have NIL-wise, yeah, that's different. And I don't know if it's good or bad as far as, it really doesn't matter. If I think it's good or bad, it's here. It's probably here to stay. And, we've had guys that, I think the original way we were going to use NIL, we've had some guys benefit from that. It's old saying about probably not making decisions solely based on money probably rings true more than ever. And, if you can get kids to understand, you're going to do what's best for them day in, day out. And along the way, educate them on the value of their degree over their lifetime. And that's really why you go to college and the experience of college. It's not all about, most of those kids, I would say, probably don't have those dollars when the college is over. And, you're trying to educate them on what's best for them. And, if it does come our way, we're going to, more than anything, you're just trying to make it where college baseball's, take care of, if that makes sense. You start talking about all these guys, our guys are on, partial scholarships for the most part. So anything that our guys get to help with that, they appreciate.
All right, we have time for a couple more if you have them before we move on to the players.
Coach, I guess how big of an impact has it been to have a third full-time assistant and a volunteer assistant with the legislation?
So that's going to go through in July, and so we got some time to talk about it. I don't know how big an impact it makes on the field, because right now we have 4 coaches on the field. They're eliminating the volunteer and adding it as a paid, so you're going to have the same number of coaches on the field. You'll be able to send one more guy on the road, so that will help. So that probably is where the biggest impact would be right now that I can see. But I think the challenge is, and what I'm hearing, is just the amount of volunteers in all sports. The challenge is coming up with the dollars, to hire all those people.
If there's a defining characteristic of this team, what do you think it is?
You hope that it's, they're going to stick with the process of preparation and embracing the opportunity to go compete. So far, this group's been very good at those 2 things. And obviously the compete part hadn't happened, but the preparation part has. They've really been very diligent about preparing, and it's been fun to watch. It's been a lot of fun.
Coach, what's your assessment on Gavin Cash as we head into the season?
I think he's ready to go. He's behind the Golden Spikes Award winner. If you sit on the bench for a whole year, you've been the star, and your name's about to get written in there to play first base, you're probably pretty excited, right? He probably can't wait to get through today and tomorrow. Or like, let's get to Friday. So, and in his own right, Melendez had a great year, so, but he's excited about playing.
I know you kind of you'd like to be able to rinse and repeat, with recent history and be able to get back to the, a team that you were just a year ago. But with such a younger group, is there a little more buzz in the air, a little more excitement to be able to not be able to play just against, your teammates right now? You get to actually go against, Gonzaga on Friday.
I think that buzz probably started a little bit for a few guys a couple days ago. But I think it'll really hit them tomorrow about this time. Like tomorrow's practice, they'll probably be really excited, probably waste some energy somewhere in that practice that they could probably use on Friday. And so generally 24 hours out, you get on the field and guys start talking about, hey, tomorrow another team's rolling in here. That's usually when they get excited. Right now you want to hope they're, understanding there's work to be done right now. And it's a hard game. Baseball is it's not a game you show up, it's just all about effort. It's a lot of skill to it. And these guys are always trying to get a little more skillful. And so you're hoping that they take each practice day and obviously get a little bit better at the skill. But come tomorrow at 2:30. I'll be willing to bet there's a little hooping and hollering.
All right, let's end it right there. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Coach. How are the hamstrings?
Better. Been a long off season. Finally got to get healthy again. So that should be better. Hamstring wise, health wise, everything's going good. For everybody on the team, besides the recent news of Ducart and Washburn, those are tough 2 losses for us right now, especially those guys being veterans and with us being so young. So health wise good, hamstring good, everything's good right now.
You mentioned how young you guys are. How different is that locker room this year compared to last year?
Very. Like the veteran presence that we had last year from Kurt Wilson, Parker Kelly, those 5th-year guys, Cody Masters is one of them too. It's just a lot different having to take that role and step in as being a veteran presence. And this year it's looking different because we got 2 sophomores you're going to speak to later, and Hudson White and Mason Molina, who are sophomores, but they're also that veteran presence that we have, and it's just different. For sure.
Who's the guy in the locker room right now that is kind of teaching the entire young class what it means to be a Red Raider baseball player?
I think we're doing that as a unit. I think we're doing it with the 2 guys that I've already mentioned, myself, and then we've got other guys like Owen Washburn, who played a bunch last year. We got Dylan Carter, who's really taking that role and teaching those young guys, Jarrett Curtis, Gage Harrelson, the 2 outfielders that he has, teaching them like his ways and the roots. So that's kind of who's taking the reins on that one.
Is it easier having such a younger team, knowing that you were in their shoes, maybe not too long ago now, just to be able to, help out and maybe take away from some of those things that you learned from those guys like Kurt and Jason and all that?
Yeah, it's different for sure. Coming in from A&M, my brother was on the team, so he kind of took me under his wing there. But here, being embraced by Kurt and Parker right away, really helped me to understand how to embrace all these younger guys and really make them feel welcome and get ready to go and know that it's about to get really serious for them.
Obviously, you guys are playing this weekend. Is it really possible to have any major takeaways after a first series, or what are you most expecting out of this one coming up?
No, just going to be a bunch of firsts for those guys. It's going to be awesome to watch, sit back and watch for those guys finally live out that dream that they've been dreaming of. So it's going to be cool to watch. But I don't think there's many takeaways from the first one. Let them get settled in, maybe 3rd or 4th series. That's when we can start getting some takeaways. But really early on, just get those first ones out of the way for a bunch of guys. It's going to be cool to watch.
Who are some of the young guys who we've talked to Coach about Burns and Lopez at Shores and everybody else that kind of stuck out in your eye?
Kevin Bazell, who, he was here with us last year, but had the red shirt due to the 4-on-4 transfer rule in the year. That's going to be a guy that's going to be really fun to watch, for sure. And then, Will Burns and Tracy Lopez, those guys are fun to watch play every day. They're really, really skilled position players that can really get after it every day.
At this point in the season, you guys have done scrimmages and practices and bullpen sessions and you name it with everybody else on your team. Who's the pitcher on your roster right now you are tired of seeing on the mound when you're at the plate?
I would have to go my roommate, Bo Blessing, which I'm sure that the name's been said a bunch here recently. But yeah, it's just a really uncomfortable at bat. He can attack you with 3 different pitches, and none of them are easy to hit. He can run up to 99 if he wants to, and has a wipeout slider. So it's not fun to watch, or not fun to hit against. It's fun to watch.
Let's flip that. Who's the guy that is just knocking the pitchers out and driving them crazy from the offensive side?
We got a transfer from Wofford. Nolan Hester, he's a fifth-year guy. Still getting used to the bigger school type, not the mid-major, the Power 5 to stuff. But he's really had a great, I don't know if you call it a spring or winter, just coming back into it. He's been hitting lights out. Hudson White's been terrorizing the pitchers. He gets to catch them every day, sees them every day. So those two guys have really stood out watching them and really get after it.
Did you and Bo play together in high school?
We did.
So you both kind of had your own paths, both ended up at Texas Tech. Looking back at him back then, highly rated recruit, all that kind of stuff, what do you see different as far as him, arm, work ethic, that kind of stuff?
Definitely a different mindset. Back then, I mean, he knew he was the guy, but he was a $145 and 6'3". He had all the talent in the world, but now he's finally got a different mindset, and now he's figured it out. And when he pitches, just sit back and watch. It's going to be fun to watch. It's electric.
What have you figured out since your first day to today?
First day since college? Figured out just stay even keel for me. That's something that I've learned. I really don't play on the emotional roller coaster that everybody watches. I mean, just be the same guy every day and hope people are looking and it impacts different people.
Ty, you mentioned you're a roommate of Bo. I guess what has made him kind of be from that guy that was fringe 30 to an impact arm on a Sunday for you all?
Like I said earlier, just his mindset has changed a little bit. I mean, his belief in himself has increased so much this past fall, and because he was a little dinged up a little bit earlier or last year. But yeah, him finally getting healthy, and we need to keep him healthy, but just his mindset and work ethic have gone through the roof since last year to this year.
Speaking to the weekend, the last couple of years, you guys have traveled out, played some good teams through 4 days. What's it like to stay at home and be able to play a quality opponent like Gonzaga? And what do you feel like y'all can take from that experience?
Yeah, definitely a bunch of road warriors last year. I think we had 24 home games, what it was, which was weird, but I think the 37 home games that we have this year and staying at home and feeling the crowd and using that to motivate us, and I think that's going to really be one of our big takeaways is like staying at home and using that home field advantage to our advantage.
Ty, obviously a preseason All Big 12 honoree. What do preseason awards like that mean to you? Does that kind of sit in your mind at all, I guess, motivate you towards the future?
It means I had a good year last year in my mind. Has nothing to do with this year for me. Other guys might feel different about it, but for me, I just feel like it's a congratulations on a good year last year for me.
Any more for Ty, guys?
I'm just curious if Ty sees umpiring in his future.
No, I do not.
The leg kick, though, it's a solid.
Yeah.
All right, let's let Mr. Coleman go and bring us up to
Thank you.
Thanks, Ty.
Lisa?
Listen, how has your year really, you had a great season, good freshman campaign, now heading into your sophomore season, I guess, what kind of things did you do over the summer, winter, whatever you guys call it, in order to get ready for this season?
I'd say the biggest thing I worked on was probably my offense. There's a few swing adjustments I made, a few things with my approach I made that I feel like are really going to help this year.
And then with now you being on the team for a little while, is there any young guys that you've taken underneath your wing and kind of have guided them leading up to the opening series this weekend?
Yeah, we got a freshman catcher, Dylan Maxey, who's he can really play. He can really hit, can really catch. And so since we're both catchers, he's been by my side all practice and all off season, so he'll be good.
What was it? Go ahead.
And with you catching for the pitchers, I guess kind of define that unit as a group this year. What's the best thing about those guys?
I'd say probably the depth. The depth we have. We have a lot of guys returned last year from our bullpen. So we got an extra year of experience. Just a lot of depth, I feel like. A lot of depth and experience.
What was it like getting to play for Team USA this past summer?
It was cool. It was a really cool experience. You look at the roster, and a lot of those guys are all going to be taken in the first round. So you're out there playing with them every day, and you're like, wow. So it was cool. It was cool getting to play with those guys.
Coach Shadlock mentioned the improvement that you had this past summer. You mentioned your swing right there. What specifically, I guess, maybe did you see with Team USA, maybe a little bit out in California to help with that?
I think it just allowed me to take pressure off performing and allowed me to really focus on the mechanical side of things. Because when you're playing out here every day, you're worried about performing. You're not worried about changing your swing or changing mechanics. So I'd say that's probably the biggest thing.
Hudson, obviously this team has a lot of young players, freshmen in some key roles. Last year you were that guy, and you had that struggle at the plate for the first month of the year. How did that affect you? Because you had that long over, and Tim kept expressing confidence in you throughout that whole time. And he's going to be fine. He's a good baseball player. Yeah,
I'd say the biggest thing, and it's just kind of what Ty was saying about not riding the emotional roller coaster of baseball. That really kind of helped me understand that, because you go 0 for 4 and you got to get up and play every single day. So just knowing that there's a lot more chances coming, you got a lot more bats coming, that really helped me deal with that, I'd say.
Did you ever worry about am I ever going to get a hit in college baseball?
There was a time I was like, man, what am I doing? But it was good. I think it was honestly, it probably worked out for the better. Because now, like I was saying, I don't ride that emotional roller coaster anymore. I don't ride the highs and lows. I just try to stay even cool.
Do you wish we would forget about that?
I hear about it. I hear about it a lot. A lot of the coaches like to mess with me about it, but it's funny. It's all good.
We asked you about the struggle. What did it feel like when you hit that bomb against DVU?
Like weight off my shoulders, finally feeling like I could contribute to the team, I guess.
I'm curious with a guy in Braxton Fulford. I know he's been around a bunch. He's in spring training with the Rockies right now. Have you guys developed a relationship? Has he been an asset?
Yeah, he has. He's actually helped me out a lot. He was he was here all last fall, my freshman fall. Was here throughout the winter, and he was always there just giving me pointers. And then he just recently came back, and I think he was at the Arizona Fall League. So he came back after that, and yeah, he's helped me a lot with a lot of catching stuff mainly.
How beneficial is it to have all of these former guys that used to be teammates here that are making the pro debuts or in the minor league camps trying to make the rosters this year, coming back here and working out with you guys in the offseason?
It's huge. You look at guys like Josh. He's in there. Josh and Jace. I played with Jace last year, but Josh, he's in there every day, and he's it's a really good mind to pick. He's got a lot of insight about hitting and stuff, and Braxton as well. Braxton's, defensively, he's an amazing catcher, really good. So to be able to learn from him, it helps a lot.
So is there a guy that over the off season has really just been lights out for you guys, and by this opening series this weekend, we're gonna know about this person, and we're gonna be talking about this person? Is there that one guy that's gonna be a surprise?
I would say Bo Blessy for sure. Because I don't think he threw more than 10 innings last year, so people probably don't know a whole lot about him. But this fall, he was electric. Like Ty was saying, he's going to be, after this first weekend, people are going to know who he is. So.
How is I asked Ty and ask you, how has your game changed, and how has Coach Tadlock and the rest of the coaching staff helped change you from day one as a Red Raider to today?
How's my game changed? I'd say I probably got just a little bit more mature offensively. And catching, I didn't do a whole lot of catching in high school, so I think just honestly being back there has made me a lot better. So being able to catch a lot in practice, being able to catch a lot of games last year, just being able to get experience back there has helped a lot.
To follow up on that, Tim talked about last year your positional versatility, that you could have played a bunch of other spots. What all, at any level of baseball, what positions had you spent a big extended time at?
In high school, I mainly played short, second, and third. For my high school team, I was shortstop, so yeah, mainly short.
You were a quarterback in football,
I did. I played football until my junior year.
You ever miss that? What was your football experience like?
Football was fun. There's nothing like football. It's really fun. It was fun, but I think it was baseball is clearly my passion. So
some of your teammates have been saying confidence about Bo Blessing. What have you seen him to either become more electric or just, be that guy that's been like fringe 30, but now he's, a Sunday arm for you?
Yeah, he's in these fall inter squads. I think he was up to 99, and he was sitting 99. It wasn't like he just hit 99. It was every pitch was 99, and he's got a wipeout slider. He's got a really good command, and he's got a presence up there too. Like Ty was saying, he's got a really good confidence about him. So he's going to be good.
Anything more for Hudson? All right, we'll let him go, and we'll bring in Jason.
Now there's no more facing each other. It's time to face somebody else. How does that take a little weight off your shoulder? Some of these guys have got my number. Some of these guys in the Bulldogs don't yet.
Yeah, so like Ty said earlier, Nolan Hester, he's miserable at bat for I think everybody on that staff, and so him and even Ty himself, they've seen you so much, and even though we had a break in the middle, they still come back and get onto it pretty quick. So it's going to be fun to go out there and face some guys that haven't seen us, consistently for however many weeks we played each other. So it'll be fun.
Mason, you had such a strong end of the year last year. What have you been doing in fall and I guess winter camp to make sure that you can kind of ride that momentum, especially after finishing as strong as you did?
Yeah. So I had a good start at the end of the year and just kind of was out of the bullpen. But I think I really found my rhythm, just not having to think about going long into games or whatever it is, and just kind of going out there and letting my stuff speak for itself. And so I'm kind of just trying to get over the fall and the off season. I just worked on my consistency and landing my off speed for strikes more consistently and just kind of filling up the zone the way I know I can. So
Kyle, you and Bo are going to be on the mound for this coming series. What do you think you guys have done as a group maybe to stand out to Coach Tadlock to make sure that you guys are going?
Yeah, so I had played the most out of those guys last year, so that was just I was one of the returners with the most innings, and I just kind of came out and did my thing, and so that spoke for itself. But Kyle and Bo both had under 15, under 12 innings, something like that each, and Bo came out, and you've heard a bunch about him. I mean, that kid is electric, got a really good confidence to him, the best slider I've ever seen in my life. And Kyle, coming back from summer ball, he pitched really well out there, and he went out to California, which is where I'm from, so I went and watched a couple games, and he really changed his confidence as well, because he was a little bit timid last year, and it's a completely different pitcher up on that mound, and so he's been really good, and so I think that was the choice that they made.
Everyone's brought up Bo so far, like you mentioned. From a pitcher's perspective, what's been the wow factor that you would see if you're watching the bullpen?
I like to talk a lot about metrics. That's how I learned how to use my stuff more effectively, and his spin on all of his pitches, and the way it spins is just unbelievably efficient, and it's the best pitch mix I think I've ever seen numbers wise, and he uses it really effectively out there on the field. So.
Go ahead.
Mason, how beneficial was it for you as a freshman to have, like pros like Andrew Morris, Brandon Birdsell to kind of learn from?
Andrew and Birdie are, they're awesome, and so they came back a little bit in the fall, and so, but being around them all last year, the way they go about things is just so unbelievably consistent, and it was the same routine every week. They would never waver. So being able to see that and try to emulate it myself this year and a little bit last year, but really try to focus in on that part of it this year is I think going to help me be more consistent.
Obviously, the mental game is so important for everybody, but pitchers specifically. What's when you're on the mound? Where are you? Is it self-talk? Is it silence? What are you doing with yourself?
I'm a little crazy up there. I talk to myself.
Crazy left-hander.
Yeah, well, we're all weird, but I talk to myself a little bit up there. But it's more of just like, I'm going to come right after you, and you're going to have to prove to me you can hit it. I'm not going to go around you at all. So I think that's kind of the biggest thing is that confidence of I'm better than you. You're going to have to prove that you can beat me. So
I think last year it was Austin Becker that mentioned coming here because of the pitching program and what Texas Tech does to develop. Can you speak to that with Matt Gardner and Coach Hayward, just kind of what that's like for you?
Yeah, those guys are unbelievable. Hayward's one of the best pitching minds that you can pick, I think I've ever talked to. And Matt's amazing with everything that he does with us. And it's flexible, but it's also, they give you your way of doing things, but they also, when you need to get it going some way or they have a way to pitch in, somehow they always find the way to say the right thing. And it always clicks in my head at least. So, and clearly it's done it with other guys in the past, but all the guys that came back, Bonin, Beater, McMillan, all those guys, and learning from them this offseason and watching them throw really closely, it's been really cool. And so picking their brains, but also the coaching staff is just unbelievable. So.
Where's your passion for baseball come from, and what has changed from that first day on campus to today?
Yeah, so I've played baseball since I was, I don't know, I threw a baseball before I could walk. So it's always been my thing. I think I played t-ball when I was like 3.5. But so I mean, it's always been a part of my life. I tried other things like soccer, football, basketball, whatever it was. But baseball always had a special place in my heart. And I think the biggest thing since from when I got here last year to now has been just the comfortability. Like immediately I was brought in, and everyone kind of took me in, and it freed me up to go and just play my game. And I think that's the biggest thing we're trying to do with the freshmen and the younger guys this year is make them feel comfortable so they don't have to worry about anything that we think or whatever. They can just go out there and be themselves on that field. And so I think the biggest thing is just feeling like a more, maybe even like a melded team this year. So. And
since it's more home games than away games this year, what's the comfort of being at home and the home field advantage of the law?
I think it is a huge home field advantage for our hitters. Us maybe not so much sometimes, but there are days where it blows straight in and the ball's not leaving the infield. But I think the most important part is comfortability with the place you're hitting in, the places you're lifting, and sleeping in your own bed is so. People don't say it enough of how comfortable it is being able to wake up in your own house or whatever it is. So I think that's a big part. Is just feeling comfortable and just again not being outside of your I guess comfort zone and being able to just go out there and play.
Go ahead.
What was your experience or feeling the first time you went to the mound at Globe Life Field on the opening weekend last year?
I think the most people I had played in front of before that was a couple hundred. So being in front of however many thousand it was a little nerve-wracking in the beginning. But as soon as I got on that mound, it all kind of disappeared, and it was just me and Hudson throwing to each other. So no, it was really cool, but. It's kind of how I've always been. I get on the mound and the nerves go away. It channels into focus. So,
did you pitch anywhere in the summer, or did you have enough innings for the year?
I had enough innings, and I went home and took care of some things I needed to take care of. So I just did that, and then I came out here early to get some work in July, and I've been here, pretty much since. So,
what was it like being from California that attracted you to a program halfway across the country?
Yeah, I grew up 20 minutes from the beach. And J-Bob did his thing and got me to the middle of West Texas. But no, I mean, I think the biggest thing is the loyalty of the coaches. They're not going anywhere, which is the biggest thing. I'd heard stories about older friends that they'd committed to like UCLA, and then the coaches had left, or they had dropped scholarships and left. And so I think the biggest thing that made me feel most comfortable was knowing that they were in it with me just as much as I was in it with them.
Is there any other school that, I'm sure you have plenty of scholarship offers, who else did you consider the most?
I think the two other ones that were the most intriguing for me was Oregon State was a good one. I liked the way their pitching coach was talking about things, but also UCLA a little bit, but it wasn't as much them. It was really these guys was my main focus as soon as I started talking to them. So.
Go ahead,
sorry. Mason, can you talk about just the relationship you've had with Hudson, obviously pitching to him last season, and just how that relationship's grown, I guess?
Yeah, so in high school, over our junior summer, we both went to PG National, and I was still a hitter then, so he caught my BP around there. So I've known him for a little bit longer than we've been here, but no, I mean, we've gotten really close fast, and just being comfortable throwing to the guy that you're going to be throwing to every weekend is, I think, really big. Trusting each other and knowing that I'm going to be here for you as much as you're going to be here for me. And so, yeah, we've gotten really tight really fast. And so I think that's a big part of being confident while you're out there.
You mentioned how you started playing t-ball at 3.
Yeah.
You've thrown millions of innings in the course of your playing career. How does this staff help you and the rest of the pitching staff stay healthy with all of those innings that you guys compiled? Whether it be off season, start to start, what are some of those things that really help that these guys do that make it special?
I think it's the not forcing anything before it needs to happen. So in other words, it's like Tad said, we had 6 guys that really could have come out and started any of these games. It could have been the other 3, it could have been us, but I think the biggest part is depth and them not forcing us to go on a day that we might not need to or we might not be ready to. We had a talk the other day. It's like if if you're going and you need a week, we'll take you in the bullpen and we'll let the other guy go and we'll bring you back in or however it works out. So I think they do a really good part about emphasizing health and being ready to go out there versus trying to force it. And so I think that's a huge part of it. It takes the weight off our shoulders, feeling like we have to be ready.
Being a left-handed pitcher, what's the first time maybe you remember, or some of the biggest things people said to you about being a lefty?
My high school freshman coach always told me that he always said lefties are weird, but he also said lefties are stupid. So that was always an interesting one, which I mean, to an extent, a lot of us are a little weird and a little off the hinges. But no, I mean, it's not been much. A lot of it's been the oh, that's rare and whatever else. So.
All right, let's let Mason go and get ready for practice. And appreciate
Thanks, Mason.
everybody coming out.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.